Hi, this is Wes Dooley, and I'm very fortunate that I have somebody here, Ben Issacs, Ben's Den,
That's right.
and Henderson, that has every one of AEA's microphones
So
and
far.
has listened to all our preamps and has done a ton of stuff in bluegrass, gospel, a member of the Grand Ole Opry, and whose mom invited me to her 75th birthday backstage at the Opry. So these guys are people that I just feel like, wow,
Oh,
I am so lucky I get to do this sort of stuff.
well, thank
And
you.
what I wanted to know was, how did you ever notice we did microphones?
Well, I'm the first time I noticed your stuff was I had done sessions and I saw the AEA stuff, but Marty Stewart introduced me to you, and I borrowed his 44 that he used for his TV show, and I fell in love with it then. And I love, there's certain microphones on certain instruments I love, and I love a 44 on a banjo. And I love it on the bottom of an upright bass. So I just fell in love with it, and Marty says, hey, you'd like to talk to Wes. So I called you up, and we spent a couple hours talking a few times, and I've just fallen in love more and more with what you do and your microphones and the tonality or the lack of color that your stuff has.
Well, you've got a couple of key things that people have told me about a few times. The thing about upright bass, I had loaned a mic to Abbey Road, who owns a couple of 44s I'd helped them restore, that they had in what studio they had down in Rio de Janeiro. And the end result was I heard, well, it's a nice mic, but we have 4038s.
Yeah.
And then one of the producers called me and said, I need to buy this. And I thought you said it's a nice mic. And he said, I put it on upright bass, and it's the best upright bass mic that I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I have to own one. And I went, okay, that ain't bad, but we have an octave of bass or better. We go down to 16 and some hertz.
Right.
I knew we were pretty good there, but
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And of course, that it sounds like what you hear
That's exactly
on a
right.
wide variety of instruments. That was what it was designed to do. That's
Right.
what Les Paul told me that it did, and why it was the first great music mic.
Right.
And it's why Eddie Van Halen told me it's the only mic in my locker at 5150 that if I go find a place that I like the sound,
Yeah.
then all I do is stick that 44 up where I was listening to sound I liked, and that's what it sounds like.
Wow.
All of the rest of the mics, he said, the $10,000 condensers, like the Sony, all that, they interpret it.
Right. That's right.
But if I actually like what I'm hearing, it's the only mic here.
Right.
It does that. And he bought a second one, and then he bought two more. And I delivered the last two and got a chance to talk to Alex, because I knew he was teaching himself to record, not Alex, but Eddie was teaching himself to record Alex's drums.
Yeah.
Alex would practice there every day. And so here's the sound source. Let's do it, see what we can do with it. It's got bass, it's got treble.
Right.
And Alex told me that it was a wonderful microphone recording that Eddie was doing, except he listened to it from a guitarist perspective.
Wow.
And I didn't get into a long discussion about how Vance Bell puts the mics, the 88, behind the drummer in the corner to get the room sound and the drummer's perspective.
Yeah.
But I just filed it away as, okay, yeah, there's always a different perspective, and that's why it's fun to do.
To each his own. To each his own.
So somewhere along the line, I noticed you started using AEA preamps.
I absolutely love the AEA preamps. When I came out for the Grammys and I got to come to your factory and spend some time with you, I left with a lot of incredible things that made my recording job easier. For me, I'm such a naturalist. I love organic music. I love making an instrument sound like an instrument recorded. I learned a long time ago that if you're having issues, tonality, and it's not sounding like the instrument, number one, check where your mic placement is, and number two, check your source. You can't make an instrument sound better than what it is, but you can capture it acoustically. And I love to capture that sound. And your preamps, oh my gosh! Now I've always been a huge Martech fan. I have 4 of them.
Yeah.
But now I have 12 RPQ 500s.
Wow.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then I have 4 of the JRPs.
That's quite a collection.
It is, but it has given me, and it has given me. I love the cleanliness of the Martechs, and for me, these are an exact extension of those for me, and what that I love the natural sound. They're just so clean and just so hot. And they're easy, they're really easy. And I use them on everything from guitar to, I'll mic, if I'm doing acoustic instruments, I'll use, my KM54s, but I'll put the 88 in the middle, or the 84, I'm sorry, in the middle to capture that mono thing that happens with that too. And I just love the natural feel of all that.
Well, you're doing it very much like the guy who was responsible for all the multi-tracks from T-Act became Tascam.
Oh, wow.
He was a really fine guitarist.
Yeah.
And he did the first movie about Huddie Ledbetter. Mm-hmm. He was the one who played all the
Gotcha.
guitar for that because he's the only one who could actually play it.
Yeah.
And later he put 18 minutes of new music into a movie that was 3 days away from release called Black Stallion.
Okay, yeah.
And they made some edits because the initial showings were that it wasn't going to be quite as good as they hoped. And they re-edited it, and it really made sense.
Yeah.
But there wasn't enough time to do an orchestra. And so Dick Rosmini was brought in with a pile of string instruments because he played strings.
Yeah.
And he had, often been called the best guitarist in Washington Square on a particular day.
Wow.
And this was the 50s when there were shootouts.
Yeah.
It was like Dave Lindley, who would talk about how he plotted for months before the Topanga Canyon Banjo and Fiddle Contest.
Yeah.
Another person we've lost recently was a great string player, and he would figure out what would wow them and what would define it so he could win yet a third year.
Right.
At which point they said, "You are not a contestant anymore. You're a judge.
Okay.
And you're going to do a set because we really want you to play. Yeah. But this is,
it's not fair to everyone."
A great place. So many things happened at the Topanga Canyon.
Well, I just want to say what a huge fan I am of your products and the AEA line of microphones. I recently, my last purchase is a KU4, and I've used it a couple times so far. I've kind of been on a little bit of a pause just because you're on the bus right now. We're at the Hollywood Bowl. There's my buddy Ed Leonard right there.
Hi, Ed, with his T-shirt.
Oh, yeah, I got my Abbey Road shirt on.
Abbey Road shirt.
Abbey Road T-shirt. Yeah, there you go.
So we're out here on the road opening.
There's the back entrance over there to the Hollywood Bowl.
That's
to the stage house.
That's it. And we're opening for Reba, and we go on here in about 30 minutes. And but I did want to tell you that I sing your praises, and I am so thankful for your Wes, your passion for wanting to create tools that people like I can use to find I'm very particular to find the particularity of being able to record in a way that I love the natural sound to be. And it just depends on, to me, just try a different mic, and it's always going to be a little bit different. So,
well, this is what Wally Heider said, my first mentor. I met him at the Ice House. I used to take care of the sound systems in the early 60s, the Ice House and the Troubadour and the Ash Grove, which was the place where you'd go listen to Lightning Hopkins or the Kentucky Colonels.
Yeah.
And so I just looked at it and said, well, this is really fun. And he brought a 3-track. He was working at the time for the studios that Bill Putnam owned, United and Western, 6000 Sunset. And he and the chief engineer would go do remotes because no one wanted to do that, so they just did it personally. And that's how Heider recording became a big deal.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And so I was told, oh, there's somebody you should come down and meet. So I went down and I helped him load a bobtail truck when I was 21 years old, and it wasn't any big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, how about you work for us next weekend? So the next weekend I was recording Johnny Rivers. I wasn't recording. I was loading, unloading the truck. I was running cables.
Yeah.
You don't get a credit for that, but from my standpoint, it was really fun.
Yeah, sure.
And I was at the Whiskey A Go-Go doing this.
Yeah.
And I was getting paid money.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I used to get paid money by the acts at the Ice House to make tapes so they could make something to send out.
Sure.
It was before cassettes, so we'd make records.
Yeah.
And for person I mentioned a minute before, Dave Lindley.
Yeah.
Dave Lindley, and a really fine fiddle player who went out on the road for 8 years with Bill Monroe when he turned 18. And Chris Darrow. They were all in a thing called the Dry City Scat Band.
Okay.
Oh, the fiddle player, sorry, Richard Green.
Oh, yeah.
And so I knew these guys. We all went to Pasadena City College. This is where just a ton of people, from a drummer like Jim Keltner to the horn player for I should have that, Frank Zappa, Malcolm McNabb. We all went to school there.
Yeah.
It was a free local 2-year college.
Yeah, wow.
And there's some great stories about that. Just a lot of people